Today's topic is maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem puts an insight into a condition of the circuit. When can maximum power be delivered to the load? So it assists us in finding the condition when a particular network can give maximum power to the load. So it states that maximum power is delivered from a source to the load when the load resistance is equal to source resistance. So let us say that this is the load connected to the network and this is the entire network. So this network consists of resistances and various power sources, various sources. So all these together are going to provide certain current to the load. Definitely the power is the product of I square R. So the question is, when can this I be maximum? So for that, let us first of all resolve the given network into a simplified form by replacing the network by its equivalent voltage and equivalent resistance. So we will find the equivalent resistance of the circuit RTH and equivalent voltage VTH of the circuit. Once we represent all these network elements by a single voltage source and a single current source, we can easily find the current. So current would be, by simple Ohm's law, V divided by R. So R is the total resistance of the network, RTH plus RL. So the complete current through this network, once we represent the entire network in terms of a single voltage and a single resistance, would be VTH by RTH plus RL. The question is, what is the power of the network? The power is the product of, as we just discussed, I square into RL. I is the current that is provided to the load. Power is I square into RL. So substituting this I equation into the power equation, we get a relation which is this. So this is the power which is delivered by this network to the load resistance RL. The issue is to make this power maximum. How can maximum power be delivered to the load? For this, maximum power transfer assists us in calculating or making this power which is delivered to the load to a maximum value. To find that, let us find the condition for the maximum power transfer. For maximum power transfer from the source to load, the prior condition is that the derivative of the power with respect to the load resistance must be 0. The gradient of the power with respect to the load resistance must be 0. This is the necessary condition to obtain the condition for maximum power transfer. So taking the derivative of the power, we already have the power equation here. So taking the derivative of the power and making the equation to 0, we get an equation by simplifying, right? We get an equation which is wherein we obtain RTH is equal to RL. Simplifying the given condition, we obtain RTH is equal to RL. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that we get a load resistance of the network to be equal to the source resistance, that is RTH. We obtain the condition that the load resistance RL is equal to RTH, where RTH is what? The entire resistance of the network, which we call as the source resistance. Right, so if source resistance is equal to load resistance, then we get the maximum power transfer. And that is the statement of maximum power transfer theorem, that maximum power is delivered from a source to a load when the load resistance is equal to the source resistance. And that's what we just proved, that if we take the derivative of the power with respect to the load resistance and simplify the condition, at the end we obtain RL is equal to RTH. And that is what the statement of maximum power transfer theorem states, that maximum power is delivered from the source to the load when the load resistance is equal to source resistance. So when RTH is equal to RL, we get maximum power delivered to the load. Let us understand this with certain examples. The example says, find for the circuit shown, find the values of the load resistance RL for maximum power transfer. So given is a network wherein there is a load which is connected, and we have been asked to find what load value should be connected so that there is a maximum power delivered from the network to the load. So this entire network, which is comprising of certain sources and certain resistive elements, this network should provide maximum power to this load. So what should be the load value so that we get maximum power delivered from this network to the load? So to find this load value, to obtain maximum power, the very first step is we have to calculate the open source voltage VTH. So we'll remove the load resistance, make the terminal open, and now we will calculate the voltage across this terminal, which is called as the open circuit voltage VTH. So the modified circuit is shown here, wherein the load resistance is removed and there is a voltage which is measured across this terminal called as the open circuit voltage VTH. So for this, we need to simplify the circuit. The method chosen is the nodal analysis. So two nodes are identified. This is node 1 and this is node 2. And we are going to apply KCL to these nodes. Looking into node 1, there is a voltage source which is directly coming at node 1. And therefore, we can assign V1 as 6 volts, as there is a voltage source directly connected to the node V1. We can say that V1 is 6 volts. Coming to node 2, let us find the node voltage VTH. So for this node, the number of branches that should be considered are, this is the first branch, this is the second branch, this is the third branch. This branch doesn't come into picture as it's open circuit. So we have to consider total 3 branches to find the node voltage VTH. Applying nodal analysis to this branch, to this first branch, we get VTH minus V1 by 3. For the second branch, it is VTH by 1. And for the third branch, which is a current source and is an incoming current source, wherein we assume in nodal analysis that all the currents are outgoing currents. So with respect to that, we need to consider this current source as minus 2. The two unknown variables are VTH and V1. V1 is already known. So the only unknown variable left is VTH. So simplifying the equation, we obtain VTH to be 3 volts. So in step number 1, what we did was we removed the load resistance and measured the open source voltage VTH. Moving to step number 2, step number 2 says calculate the equivalent resistance of the entire network. We want to measure the overall resistance of the network. So to measure the overall resistance of the network, we need to replace the sources by their internal resistance. So we replace 6 volts by short circuit and we'll replace the current source by the open circuit. So we short circuit the voltage source and you could see we have open circuit the current source here, and the load resistance is the terminal wherein we measure the equivalent resistance RTH. So looking into the circuit, we easily understand that this 2 ohm resistance is getting short circuited because we short circuited the voltage source, because of which 2 ohm voltage and 2 ohm resistor is getting short circuited. So this resistance becomes 0. So the circuit modifies to this circuit, this part of the network becoming short circuit. The remaining elements that are available are 3 ohm resistor, the 1 ohm resistor and this 1 ohm resistor. Looking into the network from RTH, we understand that 3 ohm resistance is in parallel with 1 ohm resistor. 3 ohm resistor is in parallel with 1 ohm resistor. So we need to find the parallel combination of these two resistors and add the value of this parallel combination with 1 ohm resistance, which is in series with the parallel combination. So finding the parallel combination of 3 and 1 ohm resistance and adding it with the series resistance 1 ohm, we get the equivalent resistance of the network as 1.75 ohms. So in step number 1, we calculated the equivalent voltage of the entire network. In step number 2, we calculated the equivalent resistance of the entire network. Now, with this, we are going to find the load resistance. We have been asked to find the load resistance RL. With these calculations, we will find the load resistance RL. So to find RL, we will apply the maximum power transfer theorem. What maximum power transfer theorem says? That load resistance, for maximum power, the load resistance must be equal to the source resistance. So we obtained the source resistance as 1.75 ohms. So applying maximum power transfer, we now identify RL is equal to RTH as 1.75 ohms. For maximum power transfer, as per the statement of maximum power transfer theorem, we understand that load resistance must be equal to source resistance, right? So this is the definition we just have seen. Load resistance must be equal to source resistance for maximum power transfer theorem. And we also derived that when RTH is equal to RL, there is maximum transfer of current from the network to the load. And therefore, by applying this, we now find RTH, and RTH is nothing but RTH, which is 1.75 ohms. We now need to find the maximum power of the network. So what is the maximum power of the network? So maximum power can be obtained by first of all showing the equivalent circuit of the network. So equivalent circuit of the network is entire network replaced by one voltage source in series with the equivalent resistance of the network RTH. So entire network is replaced by VTH in series with RTH, followed by RL, the load resistance. So the current through this network is now VTH divided by the total resistance of the network. So VTH divided by RTH plus RL gives me the current through this particular network. So it turns out to be VTH is 3 volts, RTH and RL are 1.75 ohms respectively. Adding them, it is a ratio of 3 by 3.5, which turns out to be 0.85 amperes. And power is I square into RL, which gives us a power of 1.28 watt. So the maximum power which is delivered by this network to the load is 1.28 watt, and to obtain this maximum power, the load resistance must be equal to the source resistance. Let us understand one more example wherein we need to find the load resistance RL so that this network provides maximum power to the load. So the first step is to calculate the open source voltage VTH. So for that we remove the load resistance RL and open the terminals, and the voltage across that terminal is called as the open source voltage VTH. So this is the network that we need to analyze to get the open source voltage VTH. Let us apply nodal analysis. The number of nodes identified is 1. Only one node applies to the given network. Applying the nodal analysis to this node, let us identify the branches. This is the first branch. This is the second branch and this is the third branch. This branch doesn't come into picture because of the open circuit network. So applying nodal analysis to these three branches. For the first branch it is V1 minus 3 by 2. There is one more voltage source here. So we need to take the potential difference between them. So V1 minus 3 by 2. There is a current in the second branch. As we assume all the currents to be outgoing currents when we apply nodal analysis, this particular current needs to be considered with a minus sign since it's an incoming current. So minus 6, and when we come to the third branch, it is V1 by 2. So the unknown variable is V1. So simplifying the equation, we get V1 to be 7.5 volts. So simplifying this equation, we get V1 to be 7.5 volts. We are interested in obtaining the open source voltage VTH. We want to measure VTH. So for VTH, from the circuit, we clearly understand that VTH is the voltage across 2 ohm resistance. VTH is nothing but the voltage across 2 ohm resistance. As there is no current through these two resistances, because of open circuit, there is no current through these two resistances. So no voltage is generated across them. So the only voltage that is generated is through the 2 ohm resistance. So VTH is voltage across the 2 ohm resistance. So to measure the voltage across 2 ohm resistance, let us first calculate the current. So what is the current through this 2 ohm resistance is V1 by 2. The current which flows through this particular branch is the node voltage V1 divided by 2. So we already have V1. V1 is 7.5 divided by 2. We get the current through the branch as 3.75 amperes. And then VTH is nothing but I into R. VTH is I into R. Current is 3.75 into 2 is the VTH voltage. So we get VTH to be 7.5 volts. Once we get VTH, the next step in maximum power transfer theorem is to obtain the equivalent resistance RTH. To obtain the equivalent resistance RTH, we need to replace the sources by their internal resistance. So we will short circuit the voltage source and we will open circuit the current source. So by replacing the sources by the internal resistance, the circuit reduces to a form as shown here. The voltage source is short circuit, the current source is open circuit. Rest of the resistive elements are as shown. So looking into the network from RTH, we understand that 2 ohm is these two 2 ohm resistances are in parallel and their parallel combination is in series with the remaining resistances. So first we'll find the parallel combination of these two 2 ohm resistances. So 2 ohm in parallel with 2 ohm is 1 ohm. And this resistance, equivalent resistance, which is now 1 ohm, is in series with the 3 ohm and 2 ohm resistances, the value of which is now 6 ohms. So equivalent resistance is 6 ohms. Once we get RTH, we'll find the load resistance. We have been asked to find the load resistance. So for maximum power transfer, or according to maximum power transfer theorem, for maximum power for the maximum power to be delivered from the network to the load resistance must be equal to source resistance. So the entire network has a resistance of 6 ohms. So if the load resistance takes a value of 6 ohms, then maximum current flows through the load resistance that results in maximum power. So RL is 6 ohms. So with RL 6 ohm, the remaining network replaced by the voltage source and the equivalent resistance of the network, we get a circuit as shown here, through which we can calculate the current. So current I is the current through this modified network, which is nothing but voltage divided by the net resistance, which is 6 ohm plus 6 ohms. So we get the current to be 0.625 amperes. Once we know the current that flows through the load resistance, we can find the power, which is I square into RL. So taking the square of 0.625 into RL, the power, the maximum power that is delivered to the load is 2.34 watt. So with RL taking the value of the source resistance, maximum power is delivered to the load, which is 2.34 watt. In the next example, we have been asked to find the load resistance as shown here. The network comprises of two sources, 80 volt voltage source and 2 ampere independent current source. And we have been asked to find the load resistance RL such a way that these network elements can deliver maximum power to the load. Following the procedure of maximum power transfer theorem, we first remove RL and then find the open circuit voltage VTH. So we have removed RL and replaced this RL by the open terminals across which we measure the open source voltage VTH. So the network comprises of two loops. Here we are going to use mesh analysis. The network comprises of two loops. So two loops are identified. Loop 1 has current I1 and loop 2 has current I2 flowing through it. The path of loop 1 is shown here. So this is the path of loop 1. So applying KVL to this particular path, loop equation is as shown here. Starting with the voltage source 80 minus 5I1 minus 10 I1 minus I2, as this 10 ohm resistance has two currents flowing through it. So it is minus 10 into I1 minus I2. Similarly, the 20 ohm resistance also has two currents flowing through it. So it is minus 20 I1 minus I2. The voltage source is fall in the potential. As we move from positive terminal to negative terminal, we need to consider the fall in the potential, and hence it is minus 20. That completes the loop equation. So the loop equation consists of two variables I1 and I2. So simplifying the loop equation, we reach to a value wherein it is minus 7I1 plus 6I2 is equal to minus 12. Now we move to loop 2. So loop 2 comprises of a current source. In loop 2 there is a current source, and I2, looking at the direction of the assumed current I2, this I2 is in the direction of the current source, and the only current which flows through the current source is the loop current I2, and therefore I2 is directly equated to the current source, which is 2 amperes. That gives us I2 to be 2 amperes. I2 is 2 amperes. So from loop 2 we get I2 to be 2 amperes. Substituting the I2 equation in equation 1, we get I1 to be 3.42 amperes. The intention of simplifying these loops were to find the VTH voltage. We need to find the open source voltage VTH. So to find VTH, we will write the VTH loop equation. Now this VTH loop equation can be done in two ways. The first VTH loop equation is this smaller loop. Either you use the VTH equation using this smaller loop, or you can write the VTH equation considering this large loop. Right? If you consider VTH equation, there are two loops to which you can apply VTH and get the value of VTH. So for your understanding, the loop equation VTH is calculated using two loop equations, both the loop equations, the smaller loop equation as well as with the larger loop equation. So VTH is shown in both the ways, and in both the ways the answer is similar. Let us look at the first loop. So VTH can be written for this loop So what would be the loop equation here? Assuming the polarity of VTH to be plus and minus, we can write the VTH equation as VTH minus 20, since this load resistance has two currents, right? So it is minus 20 into I1 minus I2, and then the voltage source minus 20. So with this we get the loop equation as shown here. Substituting I1, I2, we get VTH for this smaller from this smaller loop as 48.56 volts. Let us now again try to find VTH with the larger loop. So this is another loop equation that can be used to find the VTH. So starting with 80 volts voltage source, 80 minus 5I1 minus 10 I1 minus I2 minus VTH is equal to 0. So this is the loop equation if we consider the other larger loop. Substituting I1, I2 in this case, we get VTH to be 48.56, which is similar to the first case. So either you find VTH by using the smaller loop or you find VTH using the larger loop. In both the cases, the equations results into similar value. Once we get VTH, now as per the next step, we need to find RTH. RTH is the equivalent resistance of the entire network. Right? How do we obtain RTH? Replace the sources by their internal resistance. So we replace 80 volts by the internal resistance, which is short circuit, and we replace the current source by the open circuit. So this reduces the circuit comprising of only three resistive elements. RL is the point where we measure the equivalent resistance RTH. So looking into the circuit from RTH, we understand that 10 ohm resistance is in series with 5 ohm resistance. These two resistances are now in series. So we can first find the series combination of these two, and then the series combination of these two resistances is in parallel with 20 ohm resistance. So the RTH equation is 10 plus 5, the series combination of these two in parallel with the 20 ohm resistance, which leads to RTH being 8.57 ohms. So we get the equivalent resistance of the network as 8.57 ohms. The next step is to find the load resistance RL. To find the load resistance RL as per maximum power transfer theorem, maximum power is delivered when the load resistance is equal to source resistance. So when RL takes a value of RTH, there is maximum power transferred to the load. So RL is having a value 8.57 ohms. So representing the entire circuit by a single voltage source and a single resistance, the circuit is as shown here. The current through the load resistance is found by using Ohm's law, which is V by R. R is the total resistance of the network, which is series combination of these two. So VTH divided by RL plus RTH. We obtain the current through the load resistance as 2.83 amperes. So maximum power transfer to the load is P is equal to I square R. Taking the square of current and multiplying it with the load resistance, we get the power to be 68.78 watts. So here is one more example involving independent source, dependent source. All the earlier examples we saw were independent sources. Now let us look at what is the procedure to find the maximum power transfer to the load when dependent sources are involved in the network. So here is an example which includes a dependent source, and we have been told to find the load resistance RL when there is a dependent source involved in the network. So first step is When dependent sources are involved, the first step is similar to what we have done earlier, is to remove the load resistance RL, replace it with the open terminal and find the open source voltage VTH. So there is a dependent source in the network. The dependent source is a voltage source which depends on the voltage, and therefore it's a voltage controlled voltage source. The voltage Vx is part of the network, and as seen from the circuit, Vx is the voltage across the load resistance. Vx is the voltage at across these two terminals. Indirectly, Vx is the voltage measured at these two terminals. So when you open the load resistance RL, can I say that Vx is nothing but VTH? Since VTH is the voltage which is measured at this terminal, Vx is also the voltage at these two terminals, measured at these two terminals. So Vx is nothing but VTH. We clearly understand here, Vx is the voltage measured at the terminals, these two terminals, and VTH is the open source voltage when we remove the load resistance. So VTH measured at these 2 points is nothing but the Vx voltage. So we understand from the circuit that VTH is nothing but Vx. To simplify the given circuit, apply the source transformation. To simplify this circuit, we are now going to apply the source transformation. Source transformation is applied to these two elements of the network. So we observe there is a current source in parallel with the load resistance, in parallel with the resistance. So this combination can be replaced by a voltage source in series with the resistance. So we will apply source transformation to these elements of the network, and then we open a circuit that is comprising of a voltage source. So current source get replaced by a voltage source. The resistance which is in series, in parallel, now appear in series. So this 3 ampere current source is converted into a voltage source of 12 volts. The voltage is calculated simply by applying Ohm's law, which is I into R. So 3 into 4 gives us 12 volts, and the parallel resistance now appears in series. So with this source transformation, we observe that the circuit simply reduces to a single loop. So we can apply KVL. We identified the loop. Let us assign I as the loop current. So with I as the loop current, applying KVL to the loop, we get the equation of loop equation as minus 4I. This voltage source is rising in potential as showing a rise in potential as it is negative terminal followed by positive terminal. So we add this. So it is 12 minus 4I plus 0.5x minus 4 into I is equal to 0. So this is the loop equation. There are two variables in the loop equation, I and Vx. Now what do we understand? Vx is the voltage across these 2 points, which is nothing but VTH, and VTH is now the voltage across 4 ohm resistance. So indirectly, Vx is the voltage across the 4 ohm resistance. So what is the current which flows through 4 ohm resistance is I. So expressing the voltage as I into R, we get VTH to be 4I. We get VTH to be 4I or Vx as 4I. So in this equation, we'll replace Vx by 4I. And now we get an equation, loop equation with a single variable I, which can be simplified, and simplifying we get the loop current as 2 amperes. Once we get the loop current, VTH is nothing but the voltage across 4 ohm resistance. So 4 into I gives us the VTH open circuit voltage for the given network as 8 volts. Moving to step number 2. Step number 2 differs with when independent sources are involved. When there were only independent sources, step number 2 was to find the equivalent resistance of the network. Equivalent resistances are obtained by replacing the sources by the internal resistance. So we can replace 3 amperes by the open circuit. But what about the dependent source? Dependent sources are active all the times. They cannot be short circuited or open circuited unless and until the parameter on which they depend are zero, are made zero or become zero. These dependent sources are active all the time, and hence when dependent sources are involved in the network, the procedure is to find the short circuit current. So in step number 2, we are now going to find the short circuit current. So we remove the load resistance RL and replace it by short circuit. We remove this RL and we replace it by a short circuit, and whatever current flow we are interested in finding ISC. ISC is the current which flows through the short circuit path. So we remove the load resistance and replace it by short circuit, and the current which flows through this short circuit path is the short circuit current ISC, and Vx is nothing but the voltage across these two terminals. Now what we observe is that ISC is the current through the short circuit path. So we removed RL and replaced it by the short circuit path. The current which flows through the short circuit path is the short circuit current ISC. We are interested in finding this short circuit current ISC. What do we observe? The moment we have removed the load resistance and replaced it by a short circuit, 4 ohm resistance gets short circuited. So 4 ohm resistance becomes short circuit. So when this becomes short circuit, the voltage across this terminal also becomes 0. Therefore Vx becomes 0 because the 4 ohm resistance gets short circuit. So Vx also becomes 0. So overall resistance here V4 ohm gets short circuit, and that's therefore Vx also becomes 0. As Vx becomes 0, the dependent source also becomes 0. So 0.5 Vx dependent source also becomes 0. Therefore, now the network comprises of the current source in parallel with 4 ohm resistance. With this dependent source is now 0. So to simplify, we will apply the source transformation. So first we will have source transformation applied at this particular terminal to these two elements of the network. We will apply source transformation to these two elements of the network and convert this into a voltage source in series with the resistance. Since all these elements are now 0, there is a short circuit followed after which. So we've calculated the voltage source as V is equal to I into R. So we get the voltage source applying the source transformation as 12 volts, the resistance in series, and the short circuit current ISC. So the current which flows through this loop is ISC, and we get ISC to be 3 amperes. So by analyzing the circuit, we obtain the short circuit current as 3 amperes. So we reach to a step wherein now we know VTH, we know ISC. The third step, when there is a dependent source involved in maximum power transfer theorem, is to calculate RTH. The equivalent resistance of the network is now calculated taking the ratio of VTH by ISC. So taking the ratio of VTH by ISC, we get the resistance as 2.66 ohms. Step number 4 is to now calculate the load resistance to achieve maximum power transfer. We know according to maximum power transfer theorem, maximum power is transferred when source resistance is equal to load resistance. So when RL is equal to RTH, we say that there could be maximum power transfer. So RL turns out to be 2.66 ohms. So replacing the given entire network by a single voltage source of 8 volts, single resistance RTH, we obtain the circuit as shown. If we say I is the current which flows through the load resistance, so I is the ratio of V by R, where R is the total resistance of the network, we get the current through the load resistance as 1.5 amperes. And therefore maximum power is I square into RL, that leads to 6 watts of power.